All right, this week's question of the week is top 3 ways to improve your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in 2025. So these are my top 3 suggestions that I'm gonna provide today. People seem to like these kind of videos, like, give me 3 things I can do to improve. So 1, show up on time. And the importance of showing up on time is you don't miss any of the techniques and any of the instruction. So if you want to get better at jiu-jitsu, show up on time, and paying attention would help. So you don't miss anything. I understand, I'm okay with students showing late to my classes because life happens, but, so I don't make them, there's no shunning. It's like, no, even if you're 30 minutes late, come on in, you can train. But if you want to get better and you don't want to miss anything, show up on time. Second thing is when the instructor shows you the technique and then breaks you up to drill it, do the technique exactly the way the instructor showed it. Does not matter if a previous instructor or some video you watched showed it in a different variation. That's great. You can evaluate that at a later time. But during that class, you should drill the technique exactly the way the instructor showed it. No deviation. You can deviate later in your jiu-jitsu when you roll or as you go through your journey. But during that class, if you want to get better, and it may not be immediately obvious to you that the way that this instructor is showing it, it may be better than the way you had previously learned it. It may be as good as the way you previously learned it, or it may be not as good. But you won't know if you don't drill it and train it exactly the way they're showing it. So do that. 3, as you're trying to learn a technique, don't get caught up in all the possible variations of, well, what if they do this? Or what if they do that? Or what if they do this? Because then you're going to go down this flowchart rabbit hole where there's everything in jiu-jitsu there's a possible counter to. So if you don't learn the technique, it doesn't matter that you figured out 20, 30 different counters to it. Like, you're going down this rabbit hole and you'll be good at none of it. So learn the technique exactly the way it is and worry about the possible counters after you learn the technique. The third biggest thing is when you roll, and this is one of the biggest mistakes I see jiu-jitsu practitioners make, is when you roll, you have to try some of the new techniques that you've learned. Whether you learned them in class throughout the week, whether you just learned it from the instructor today, you have to implement that into your roll. Because what I see people do is they just go with whatever they believe their A game to be. So they may have learned a new side control escape, but when they're rolling, they'll end up going to their tried and true side control escape that rarely ever works and try that anyways, rather than try the new one. So I would suggest if you want to get better, you have to roll and try the new stuff, because the mistake people make is they bring their A game as if every roll they're fighting for the world championships, when what they need to do is experiment. And that's why when I train with white belts or blue belts, they really benefit in my jiu-jitsu, because I will let them get side control and try a brand new side control escape. I will let them get my back and try a new back escape or a new mount escape. And if they did catch me because my escape didn't work, then good for them. They're going to feel great about it. And I'm going to know I'm going to have to work more on perfecting that technique. Because if the first time you try an escape is when you're rolling a new escape, if you're trying it when you're rolling with a black belt, it's probably not going to work for you. So you gotta experiment and work your way up. Try it with the white belts. Then when it's working for them, start trying it with the blue belts, then the purple belts. The next thing you know, it's working against the brown belts and the black belts, and the new technique works on everybody because you implemented it and you treated rolling, aka sparring, as a learning experience rather than you're fighting for the world championships. When you should always bring your A game is when you're actually fighting for the world championships. So if you sign up for the IBJJF World Championships or Pan American Championships or the ADCC, you should bring your A game then. But to develop a more robust A game, you should implement those new techniques in your roles so they work for you. And that way you can perfect them and you end up with a better overall jiu-jitsu game. So that's my suggestion for the top 3 things you can do to improve your jiu-jitsu in 2025. All right, till next week. Ciao.